Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into the words we use for our most important relationships. The specific phrases that tell the story of how we connect with people, all the way from that first hello to promising forever. Just think about it for a second. How do you describe the day you met your best friend, or that moment you realized you were falling in love? The words we pick are actually super powerful. They're how we write the story of our own lives. So every single connection we make has its own kind of language, and today we're going to learn how to speak it. It's the language that helps us map out that whole journey from being total strangers to becoming absolute soulmates. Let's get into it. Right, so every great story has a beginning. And when it comes to relationships, that beginning is usually pretty small, pretty casual. So let's start with chapter 1, how friendships get started. It all starts right here with a casual acquaintance. This isn't a friend just yet, but it's step 1. Think of that person you always see at the coffee shop or someone from work whose name you know, but that's about it. This is the launchpad for literally every relationship. And this is the perfect example of how we use it. This phrase sets a really clear but not unfriendly boundary. It just says, yep, I know who that is, but we're not quite in the friendship zone yet. It's basically a label for potential. So how do you get from acquaintance to actual friend? Well, you got to do something. You strike up a friendship. I really love this phrase because it's so active. It's not something that just kind of happens to you. It's something you start, like striking a match. Exactly. Just like this. Nathan didn't just passively meet someone. He took action. He took that little spark from a casual meeting and decided to turn it into the beginning of a real connection. And that's the key, right? Friendship usually kicks off with someone making a move. Okay, so you've struck up a friendship. What's next? Well, now we move into the next chapter, where we see how those first little sparks can grow into a real, steady flame. Now, what's really cool is how you can actually map out this whole journey. You can see the progression right here. First, a friendship grows. It gets stronger with time. And then, after you've shared some experiences, you cement that friendship, making it really solid, until eventually you become close friends. It's a pretty amazing evolution when you think about it. And as friendships get deeper, our language gets more specific. So let's clear up 2 big ones. Close friends. Those are your people, your inner circle, the ones you can tell anything to. Then you have mutual friends. Those are the people who connect different parts of your social life, like a friend you share with your other best friend. Both are super important, but they definitely play different roles. But here's the thing with friendships. You gotta maintain them. They need a little upkeep. You have to keep in contact or keep in touch. It takes effort, because we all know what the alternative is. You can lose contact, and that connection just sort of fades away. You can just feel the intention in this sentence, can't you? It's both a promise and a plan. It's someone recognizing, hey, life is about to get in the way, so we have to make a real choice to stick together and protect this bond we've built. All right, let's switch gears a bit, because sometimes a connection evolves into something more. And when that happens, the language totally changes. It gets way more intense, more emotional. This is where a story starts to look a lot like a romance.
Wow, what an opening line. Fell madly in love. This is not a slow burn, this is a full-on explosion. It tells you right away that the emotional landscape has completely shifted. This isn't a story about gradually building a friendship. This is about instant, overwhelming love.
And just look at how fast this story picks up speed. The language totally reflects that intensity. It goes from madly in love to desperately in love in a matter of days. And then, just a couple of weeks after that, they're already talking about making a commitment. This timeline paints a picture of a total whirlwind romance, and these phrases capture it perfectly.
Okay, this is one of the biggest declarations you can make in the language of love. The love of my life. Think about it. It's not just a love, it is the love, the one. This phrase puts a person in this totally unique, irreplaceable spot in your entire life story.
And this just captures the vulnerability of falling in love so perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, she has this complete certainty about her own feelings. I knew at once. But on the other, there's that terrifying question mark. Does he feel the same way? That tension is exactly what makes love stories so powerful. So, where does a romance this intense and this fast actually lead? Well, it leads to the final chapter of our story today, the promise of a lifetime together.
Now,
In this story, to make a commitment is a massive step. It's that moment when all those feelings get turned into a real, formal promise about the future. It's the big turning point from just being in love to actually planning a life together. And there it is, the big moment, the climax of the whole story. He proposes, she immediately accepts, and that commitment is sealed. This one sentence is the answer to all that initial hope and uncertainty. It's the yes that just changes everything. So, what kind of love is strong enough to support a commitment like that? The story gives us a really beautiful term for it: unconditional love. And look at the key phrases here: total and does not change. This is a love that's built to last, a love that stands firm no matter what challenges come its way. It's the bedrock. And this is the final promise that wraps up their love story. It's a huge statement of faith in how strong and how permanent their bond is. It's really their version of happily ever after. So let's just zoom out for a second. Why does knowing all this language even matter? Well, because these aren't just words. They are the actual tools we use to build, to define, and to make sense of our connections with people. They give a voice to our deepest feelings and let us share our stories with each other. And that's where we're going to leave it for today. As you go about your day, maybe just think about the language you're using for your own connections. Are you striking up a new friendship, cementing an old one, or maybe you're living out your own story of unconditional love? So, the question to leave you with is this: what is the next chapter in your relationship story?